Good morning, children. Let's start with whatever we did beyond whatever we did yesterday. Yesterday, we finished with Krebs cycle. And children, in Krebs cycle, what I taught you is, see, the two pyruvic acid which are formed as a result of two pyruvic acids, acid molecule which are formed as a result of glycolysis, they enter the Krebs cycle in aerobic respiration. They enter the Krebs cycle in aerobic respiration. In which respiration? Aerobic respiration. Now, before they enter the Krebs cycle, these pyruvic acid molecules, which are two in number, they undergo a process which is known as oxidative decarboxylation or gateway step. This is also known as gateway step. Gateway step to Krebs cycle. And this is also known as oxidative decarboxylation. Also known as oxidative decarboxylation. So before these pyruvic acid molecules enter the Krebs cycle, they undergo a gateway step or oxidative decarboxylation, in which what happens that one NADPH is formed. NAD gets converted into NADH2. Two molecules of these are formed, and along with the formation of these two molecules, one more thing happens, which is addition of acetyl coenzyme, addition of coenzyme A, and release of CO2. The release of CO2 takes place and addition of coenzyme A takes place. Because of the addition of coenzyme A, before this pyruvic acid enters the Krebs cycle, this gets converted into acetyl coenzyme. Acetyl coenzyme A, or acetyl coenzyme A. So the two molecules of pyruvic acid, they undergo the gateway step or gateway process or oxidative decarboxylation, which results in the addition of coenzyme A, removal of a molecule of CO2, and synthesis of NAD to NADH2. So what is synthesized? Two molecules of NADH2 are synthesized, and then what we get is acetyl coenzyme. Then this acetyl coenzyme A enters the Krebs cycle. This acetyl coenzyme A enters the Krebs cycle, in which 24 ATP are formed. In which 24 ATP are formed, and how these ATP are formed, this in the calculation I told you yesterday that there are 3 NADH2 which are formed in the process, 1 FADH2 which is formed in the process, 1 ATP is formed. 1 NADH2 gives you 3 ATPs. So 3 NADH2 will give you 3 to the 6 ATPs. Okay. 1 gives you 3. So 3 will give you 3 threes are 9 ATPs. 1 FADH2 gives you 2 ATPs. And 1 ATP is already there. So that way we get 24 ATPs. So 24 ATPs are formed. 3 NADH2 during the process of Krebs cycle. 3 NADH2 are formed. This 1 ATP gives you 3 ATPs. So 3 ATP will give you 3 into 3. That is 9 ATP are formed this way. 9 ATP are formed by NADH2. 1 FADH2 is formed. 1 FADH2 is formed. This is also a form of energy. The full form is same, except for this. This is flavin, and rest is same like NADH2. And here 1 FADH2 on lysis, on breakdown, forms 2 ATP. So 1 gives you 2 ATPs. So here, how many ATPs are given? 2 ATPs are given. Okay, 2 ATPs are given here. And 1 ATP is itself formed One ATP itself is formed. Now that means total how many? 9 plus 1, 10, and 2 ATPs here. So 12 ATPs, no, 2 ATPs here and 1 ATP here. 1 ATP here. So 9, 10, and 12 ATP. In all, 12 ATPs are formed from one pyruvic acid. From one pyruvic acid, 12 ATPs are formed. Now here, how many pyruvic acids are there? There are 2 molecules of pyruvic acid. So when one gives 12 ATP, 2 pyruvic acids will give 24 ATP. So as a result of Krebs cycle, we get 24 ATP because the Krebs cycle takes place twice. The Krebs cycle takes place twice, and during this, during one cycle, 12 ATPs are produced. So during 2 cycles, 24 ATPs are produced. So this is here we end with the process of Krebs cycle and the complete Krebs cycle. I have already told you what happens in the Krebs cycle. Acetyl coenzyme A combines with oxaloacetic acid in the presence of citrate synthetase. When citric acid is formed, then isomerase is used. Isocitric acid is formed, which releases CO2. Alpha ketoglutarate acid is formed. Then again, one molecule of NADH2. Then succinyl coenzyme A. It gives out coenzyme A. Succinic acid is formed with one GTP. Now here, I have not written here ATP because here it was GTP. Here it was GTP, and on breakdown, one GTP gives you only one ATP. One NADH2 gives you 3 ATPs. One FADH2 give you 2 ATPs, whereas one GTP will give you only one ATP. So it's the same thing. It's the same thing. The energy currency is the same here. So this way, succinyl coenzyme, then fumarate is formed, malate, and finally one molecule of NADH2 again is formed with which ultimately forms the oxaloacetic acid, which is the acceptor for acetyl coenzyme A. So this I have already told you in the video which I made yesterday. And now let's proceed on to the next cycle. Here we start with the next cycle. No, it's not a cycle, it's a chain, it's a system. Cycle was only one, Krebs cycle. Now we are on to the electron transport chain. So here, electron transport chain. See, the NADH2 which are produced during the process, during Krebs cycle, they bring about, they undergo the process of lysis or breakdown, and as a result, you know, oxygen is formed and water is formed in the process of electron transport chain. So now the next process is electron transport chain. After Krebs cycle, in aerobic respiration, what do we have? We have this electron transport chain. Electron transport chain, also known as electron transport system. Anything we can call it. Electron transport chain or electron transport system. Now, here, as I told you, the glycolysis, it takes place in, which I have already discussed. Glycolysis takes place in cytoplasm. Then Krebs cycle takes place in matrix of mitochondria. We come to the third now, where the NADH2 produced will liberate energy, and how it will liberate energy, that I'm going to tell you in this process of electron transport chain. And this electron transport chain, the site for this is inner membrane of mitochondria. I'm writing in short for you. Empty means mitochondria. So the site for this is inner membrane of mitochondria, where this process takes place. Now, what happens during the process and how this process goes on, this I'm going to tell you. Now, see, mitochondria is like this. We have this outer membrane of mitochondria. Then we have inner membrane which has infoldings which are known as cristae. And these are the infoldings of inner membrane which are known as cristae. here, here. So we have this outer membrane. We have this inner membrane, which has infoldings known as cristae. So this is inner membrane. And along with, we have this space, which is between outer and inner membrane, which we call as intermembrane space. Intermembrane space. This is, in case of mitochondria, I think everything is visible to you. Inter is not visible. So I'll write inter here, intermembrane space. This is intermembrane space. Inter means in between. So in between inner and outer membrane, we have this intermembrane space, and the material, the ground substance which is present inside, this ground substance is known as matrix, as you all know. Matrix. Now, in this process of ETS or electron transport chain, the structures involved, because this electron transport chain takes place in inner membrane, so obviously this will be involved. Then matrix also takes part, inner membrane also takes part, and outer and not outer, intermembrane space takes part. So the three structures which are involved in the process of electron transport chain is matrix, inner membrane, and intermembrane space. Now I'll draw it for you, and you will come to know how these three structures, they participate in this process of electron transport chain. Now children, you let me know whether in the mitochondria you have understood what I wanted to say, or where this process takes place. I want your response. Is it understood, clear till here, or any repetition you want? Yes, any repetition, or if you are clear till here? Yes children, I want your response quick. You can send me messages. Clear? Yes, I'm getting your messages. Yes, clear. Yes, Yashika. Yashika, I cannot read your message. Yashika. Siksha, Yashika. Okay. Now, how these three parts, they carry out the process of electron transport system, that I'm going to tell you. So here for that, I'll draw three parts. Here the first section, this is the second section, and that is the third section. So the matrix, the inner membrane, and the intermembrane space, they participate. So this we will consider as intermembrane space. This is intermembrane space. This is intermembrane space. Okay. Now this is inner membrane. This is inner membrane. Okay. And this one is matrix. Just a minute, I'll make it small because here, and this is matrix. We have matrix here. Now, could you understand how I have made these three places, these three sites? Yes, I think everything is visible to you, and I think you will be able to understand. This intermembrane space I have made here. The inner membrane is this, and matrix is this. All three columns I have made, which are representing the various sites where electron transport chain takes place. Now I'll erase this diagram, and I'll continue with what happens in these three sites. Here. Now these are the three sites of mitochondria where the process will take place, which is electron transport chain. Here. Now beta, the inner membrane, it has a number of electron acceptor. The name itself says electron transport chain. So here needs to be the electron acceptor. Now this inner membrane has a number of electron acceptors, and the electron acceptor here are, the first one is FMN. The full forms I'll tell you together tomorrow. This is FMN, the first electron acceptor. I'll make it small because the number of acceptors have to be made. Then we have another acceptor here. This is properly drawn in your NCERT book. If you want to check up with that, you can check up. This is second electron acceptor. After this, we have the third row of electron acceptor. This is the third one. Then we have another electron acceptor here lying. This is the next electron acceptor. And after this electron acceptor, we have two more here. One here and another here. And then lastly, we have, see, I'll have to erase it a little because some space problem is here. We do not have blackboards like the school blackboards. We are using small boards. So we have to adjust everything. So here we have one over here, which is little tilted. So I'll make it small, children, so that everything gets adjusted into the board. We have one over here. Then we have two electron acceptors here, one here and another here. Then one electron acceptor here, and then two electron acceptors at last. One here and one at last here. These all are electron acceptors in case of electron transport chain. This needs to be connected with this, just touching it. The boundaries are touching. Okay, so this way you can make. The first one is FMN. The second one is FES. This is also FES. This structure, this diagram is given in your NCERT book. You can check up on page number 233. The diagram is given here. This is ubiquinone hydroxide, U-cube-H. Then here, this is ubiquinone. This is not V, this is U. Then we have FES, ubiquinone, cytochrome B. We have cytochrome B. Then we have again FES here. After FES, we have ubiquinone hydroxide here. And then ubiquinone. This is ubiquinone. Then we have cytochrome C. Then we have cytochrome C and cytochrome A to A1. Cytochrome C. Yes. Then cytochrome A to A1. No, it's not A1, A3. Cytochrome A to A3. These all are electron acceptors which are placed on the inner membrane of mitochondria. Okay, now as a result of Krebs cycle, 3 NADH2 are formed. Those 3 NADH2 which were formed, those are high energy compounds, and they undergo lysis or breakdown to release energy, electrons and protons and energy. And how that takes place in the matrix, that I'm going to tell you. The NADH2 here, NADH2, this NADH2, it undergoes lysis or breakdown, and as a result of breakdown, energy will be released. When NADH2 breaks down to form NAD, energy is released. Okay, this NAD is formed. Now, along with this, one hydrogen, one proton, a pair of proton is also released, and along with the pair of proton, a pair of electron is also released. So a pair of proton, a pair of electron, and NAD. So this results in the release of energy. So this electrons, what it does, this electron is accepted by the first electron acceptor, which is FMN. FMN is the first electron acceptor. So this is accepted by this. The protons, they remain in the matrix. Only it is electron which is accepted. So electron accepted by the first electron acceptor. After this, it travels. Now, one thing more before I start this traveling story of the electron, I would like to tell you, all these electron acceptors, they are divided into 5 complexes. These are divided. In some books, you will find 5 complexes. In some books, you will find 4 complexes. So the number of complexes which are given to us, these are 4 in NCERT book. So we'll go by that. Now, the first complex which is formed is here. This is the first complex which is formed. This forms the first complex, complex 1. And then this is complex 2, which is formed. This is complex 2. And this one is complex 3, from cytochrome B to ubiquinone H. This is complex 3, and this is complex 4. So 4 complexes are formed. First, 1, then second complex, then the third complex, and finally we have 4 complexes. All these electron acceptors, they form 4 complexes of electron acceptors, and this is the way through these complexes the electron which is released as a result of lysis of NADH2, it travels. So here it has gone to the first complex, first electron acceptor of complex number 1, which is FMN, and from FMN it travels to the next acceptor, which is FES. Okay, FES, as it travels to, as it is accepted by this electron, as it is accepted by FMN, and it travels through FMN, a lot of energy is released. And that energy which is released by this electron, this helps in pushing one hydrogen which is released as a result of breakdown of NADH2. This one proton is pushed up in the intermembrane space. So as it happens, from here, one proton is pushed into the intermembrane space. So here, one proton has come into the intermembrane space because of the energy released by the electron which is traveling through the electron acceptor system. Now here, from FES, it will travel to the next one, next acceptor, which is again FES. From when it travels to the next acceptor, again energy is released, and that energy which is released, that is used in pushing, in transferring the proton from the matrix to the intermembrane space. So here one more proton is released into the intermembrane space. So this is another proton which is released in the intermembrane space. Now we have 2 protons in intermembrane space, and the electron is still traveling in the inner membrane along the complex, along all the complexes, and through all the electron acceptors. Now from here, this from FES, it travels to the next one, which is ubiquinone, then ubiquinone hydroxide. When it travels to the ubiquinone hydroxide, and the next complex is cytochrome B, when it travels along this side, what happens that again, now of course less, now the electron is losing energy. Step by step, the electron is losing energy, but here again some energy is released, and that energy which is released here is utilized again in pushing the electron, the proton from the matrix into the intermembrane space. So here one more proton, it is released into the intermembrane space when it travels to the complex number 2. So one more proton has come into the intermembrane space here. It has come into the intermembrane space. Now see, 3 protons have entered the intermembrane space. Now, when it travels to cytochrome B, again it travels to the FES complex. This is FES complex where it has traveled. Then from here again to the cytochrome ubiquinone, and after ubiquinone H, yes, ubiquinone, and then ubiquinone H. Here ubiquinone H it travels, then cytochrome B. From cytochrome B, it travels to cytochrome C, and finally it comes to its destination, which is cytochrome A to A3. So it has reached, the electron has reached here, and by the time it reaches the last acceptor, it has almost, its energy is lost. So what happens here? Here it enters the matrix. From here, it enters the matrix, and when it enters the matrix, this electron which is here now, it combines with an atom of oxygen. Why I have written half O2? Because if I write O2, that will be molecule of oxygen. So I have written half O2. It means an atom of oxygen. It combines with atom of oxygen. Of course, the matrix has protons also, plus protons also it has protons also. So when it combines with, when the electron which is released, which enters the matrix through the electron acceptors, when it enters there and lost almost all the energy, it combines with one atom of oxygen plus protons and forms water molecule. And a water molecule is given here, H2O. One water molecule is given here, and this way the process ends. See, now here, when the protons enter in the intermembrane space, this signifies the release of energy. This signifies release of energy, and we say that one NADH2 on lysis or on breakdown forms 3 ATP. This is what I told you, that one NADH2 on breakdown gives you 3 ATPs. See, one NADH2 here has given 3 protons. So this is because of breakdown. 3 protons are given. That means this energy, we'll say, which is in the form of say stored energy in the form of NADH2, when it gets lysed, when it gets broken down, it will give you 3 ATPs. 3 ATPs are formed as a result of breakdown of one molecule, one NADH2. And here we are given 3 ATPs along with the formation of water. So how many ATPs are given? 3 ATPs are given as a result of breakdown of one NADH2 along with the release of water. So this is complete electron transport system, which takes place through acceptors, various acceptors which are present in the complexes. And this is how the electron travels, releasing energy and transferring the protons into the intermembrane space. And finally, it results in the formation of a water molecule. Anything which you want me to repeat in this topic? Anything, beta? You can just send me a message through the chat. Yes? Yes, bache? Anything you want me to repeat? Okay, I'm getting the message that it's clear. Last part. Okay, Tadar Anni is saying last part. Last part, that means from here. Okay, so the electron gets transported from cytochrome C to cytochrome C, C1 to C. This is C1, from cytochrome C1 to C, and then from C it gets transported to another acceptor, which is cytochrome A to A3. Now, till here it has lost almost all the energy, and then this enters the matrix. In the matrix, it combines with an atom of oxygen. I have written half O2. Half O2 indicates an atom of oxygen. If I write O2 only, that means it's a molecule of oxygen. So it doesn't combine with a molecule of oxygen. It combines with an atom of oxygen. So here the electron, which is present in the matrix now, it combines with an atom of oxygen. Plus, I told you the protons are already available in the matrix. That is why there is a need to transfer the protons from here to here, and it utilizes a lot of energy. The protons are available here. So this electron, which finally lands at the matrix, it combines with an atom of oxygen plus the protons which are already available in the matrix and forms a molecule of water. So water is formed here. And as I told you, see, 3 protons have been sent here with the release of energy. So that is why it is said that one NADH2 on lysis or on breakdown forms 3 ATPs. 3 ATPs. So here you can see 3 times the energy has been utilized. That energy which is produced, it is transferring the hydrogen to the intermembrane space. Now see, because most of the hydrogen is transferred to the intermembrane space, the concentration of hydrogen, that means of protons, will increase here. The concentration of protons will increase here, and the concentration of protons will become low on the in the matrix. Now what will happen? Now a proton gradient will be formed, and by the breakdown of that proton gradient, energy will be released, which will be synthesized in the form of ATP by F0 and F1 particle. So till here, what has happened? This is just the release of energy and increasing the concentration of protons in the intermembrane space. This is what has happened. Plus the formation of one water molecule. Now it is clear, beta? Is it clear now? Shall I start with the next one, which is oxidative phosphorylation? Yes. Yes, beta. Now clear, Tadarani? Yes. Okay. Now I'll erase this. This uses electron transport system, very important process. But I want to give you some work today. Today, what you're going to do is, you're going to do the calculations about you are going to make a balance sheet, or you are going to do the calculations for the amount of, for the number of ATPs produced. ATPs produced. When I say ATP produced, I don't mean that you will just select only ATPs and then you will write so many ATPs. No. When I say ATP, you will have to count the number of NADPH also, convert it into ATP and then write it. The number of GTP, convert it into ATP and then write it. The number of FADH2, convert it into ATP and then write it. So ultimately, the energy currency is ATP. So we are going to talk in terms of ATP. So you will write the ATP produced, the complete balance sheet I want in case of glycolysis and Krebs cycle. The way I tell you, the way I write for you on the board, see, like so many ATPs, so many FADH2. So one FADH2 is equal to 2 ATPs. So one is produced, so 2 ATPs have been, we have got in this. Then 3 NADH2 are there. One NADH2 gives you 3 ATPs. So 3 will give you 3 into 3. So it will be 9 ATP. And 2 pyruvate molecules are used. So the Krebs cycle will take 2 turns for the pyruvic acid, which is formed as a result of one cycle of glycolysis. For one cycle of glycolysis, 2 Krebs cycles take place, because at last, after glycolysis, there are 2 pyruvic acid molecules which are formed. And at one time, Krebs cycle for one pyruvic acid molecule can take place. So pyruvic acid, one molecule one time, second molecule second time. So whatever number of ATPs are produced during Krebs cycle, that will be into 2. During one cycle, that will be into 2, because by the end of glycolysis, 2 pyruvic acid molecules are produced. 2 pyruvic acid molecules are produced, and these 2 pyruvic acid, for these 2 pyruvic acid molecules, this Krebs cycle will go 2 rounds. So if here 12 ATPs are produced, so 12 ATPs here also. So ultimately, Krebs cycle will give 24 ATPs. So children, you are going to do this calculations today. See, now little time is left, so I don't want to start with oxidative phosphorylation, which is the last one. So that I'm going to start tomorrow, oxidative phosphorylation and balance sheet of aerobic. Why I have given you this task today? Because tomorrow I want to give you the balance sheet of complete aerobic respiration. Whatever number of ATPs produced during the entire aerobic respiration, that I'm going to tell you. So for that, you should be prepared little. And for that, what you will have to do today is you will write down the number of ATPs produced as a result of glycolysis, the number of Krebs cycle produced, and the number of ATPs produced as a result of